Hello, everyone. My name is Ernest Ahoma. I'm speaking from Ghana. I'm doing this presentation with my friend Maso Kone from Mali. Now, we are presenting on a topic, should there be mandatory genetic screening of newborns for inherited conditions in African countries? And we are speaking for the motion. This is like sickle cell, thalassemia, GSSPD, albinism, hemophilia, just to mention a few, are some of the conditions that we battle in Africa here. Some of these conditions are life-threatening and they need clinical intervention to avert this condition. I typically work in the clinical space and I have seen these conditions that come to the hospital all the time. Now, to battle these conditions, we need policy formulations, laws to be enacted, massive investment in research and infrastructure, and also in public health activities in Africa. Yes, sir. For example, in the United States, these screenings are embedded in their healthcare system. Every child born in the United States is screened for some of these conditions: phenylketonuria, congenital hypothyroidism, cystic fibrosis, congenital adrenal hyperplasia, and the likes. It is mandated every child born in the US is being screened for these genetic conditions. And this has helped the US avert a lot of genetic conditions. Well, newborn screenings are tests that are done within days or sometimes even hours for genetic diseases after children are born. Are these important? Yes, these are very important. Early detection may help in early intervention and also maybe improve the quality of life later in future. Early screenings also identify individuals who are carriers of these conditions so that they may be informed themselves and they may not go and marry people with these conditions so that the cycle may continue on over and over. And these screenings will also inform government to enact policies to avert these situations. Now, if these screenings are done, it will equip public health experts to know the prevalence of these diseases in the country. We all know the issue of data in Africa. I am not sure we have a very compact genetic data system. If you start doing these screenings, it will equip us with this database, a genetic database that will help in further researches. The question of genetic screening are multifaceted, and we need to tackle them in so many ways. We need to consider our societies, the system that we live in. In Africa, there are a lot of ethnic groups in Africa. There are also a lot of religions in Africa. And if you want to do this, you must go down to the people and talk to them about this condition for them to accept them before even we start doing these screenings. So the first thing is that we need to inform the people. Even though we are speaking for mandatory genetic screening, we cannot just start by doing it. We need to go down to the people, counsel them, teach them about what genetic conditions are. We also need to respect their autonomy, what they think about these conditions. We cannot just go and start screening people for genetic conditions. They need to pilot these programs. I remember in Ghana when we sought to do free healthcare people in Ghana, the government did not just start doing free healthcare, but rather they piloted it in the regions and in districts. And now I can tell you that Ghana has a comprehensive program called the National Health Insurance Scheme that gives free healthcare to every person in Ghana. So the same thing, we need to approach this in the same way. We need to pilot these programs in different regions and districts and maybe countries for them to accept it before we start rolling it out bit by bit. This is where the meat is. This is where the policymakers come in. We need to invest heavily in infrastructure, including training of healthcare providers like myself, improve laboratories, ensure that systems are in place before we start running these programs. Public education awareness is very important. We need to raise the awareness of genetic screening in Africa. We know that in Africa, people believe and respect their religious leaders more than any other person. So we need to even go to these people, tell them what we sought to do, the importance of what we are doing, so that they may even educate their members about this kind of screenings. Well, in the United States, like I said earlier, these screenings are mandatory. Genetic screenings are mandatory for all newborns. Even though it is mandatory, some people may opt to and not to do it on personal grounds. No, these are allowed in the United States, but by and large, it is compulsory for every other person to do it. Each federal state has its own committee that says to these screenings. Some EU member states like Germany, Belgium, and the rest, they are warming up to compulsory genetic screening. They have some comprehensive policies that they have in place to kickstart genetic screening. Even though genetic screening is not mandatory there, they have other programs that are put together to screen newborns. In Canada too, the laws are not very compact. Every province has its own laws regarding newborn screenings, and this may not be even genetic screening. Well, in Japan, they are gearing up to make these tests mandatory. Well, in Africa, by and large, we do not have such programs in Africa, but all hope is not lost. The Consortium of Newborn Screening in Africa is offering such hopes. They are riding on the back of sickle cell screening in Africa. However, this consortium must be used as a stepping stone to, to enact laws and policies in Africa for mandatory genetic screening. Even though there are no comprehensive policies in Africa concerning genetic screening, South Africa has more established programs. They have a lot of laws in there that's are in place to screen babies, but they are not mandatory and they are not wholly genetic testing. Well, for me to close my argument, I think there are more benefits to gain from mandatory genetic screening. Africa has the largest youth in the world. We cannot just sit by for these diseases to rampage us. It is very important that we screen babies at birth so that we know the conditions that they carry, so that we may even give them early treatment to better their lives in the future. Thank you very much.